What's going on, my Reef fam? March here, Fragbox TV. Let's start off question of the day. My staff here says that I'm old and I'm not allowed to say Reef fam. They're giving me shit. My Reef family, short for Reef family. Reef fam, you know? Is that okay? Comment below. I'm gonna start saying it if you guys give me permission. It'll make me seem younger, they say. Anyways, I'm gonna show you how we are going to plumb in our new invertebrate system. If you've been watching some of the other videos, I'm documenting as we put this new 6-foot larger cleanup crew system together here in the store. It's replacing our old sort of outdated ugly one over here that needs a revamp. It's kind of put together in a hurry. Now we're working on the plumbing, which used to be the thing I hated the most about setting up reef tanks until I bought this one tool. Let me show you what I'm using. It's hiding back here. This is it, Milwaukee. Oh, I love Milwaukee stuff. This thing is awesome. Here in the store, we call it the circumciser, but this thing is really, really incredible at cutting pipes and makes plumbing just a dream. I think it was like around $200 or $300, so maybe it's not practical for you to go out and get one, but if you can borrow one or rent one, it makes plumbing in general a lot easier and almost kind of fun, as long as you do it safely and don't lose your fingers in here. So on this end, I have 1/2 inch. I'm not really sure why anyone would go bigger than 1/2 inch for most return applications. I think 1/2 inch is enough. On our larger frag systems here, they're about 220-ish sort of gallons. We run 3/4 inch returns, but on these ones, I'm doing all PVC. And step number one is to, I guess, start with the design. So I'm gonna go ahead, draw something out, and then begin to cut and put together. I'll show you how I cut the PVC pipe, how I glue it together, which glues to use. So because I'm going from ABS bulkheads to PVC, I'm gonna use first this transition glue over here. And then once I get into PVC, I'm gonna use PVC glue. And then for the drains, I use a mix of PVC and ABS, but usually 1.5 inch ABS. So if you read online, if you see if ABS is safe for reef tanks, I think the internet is basically split down the middle if it's safe. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you from my 15-16 years of setting up reef tanks and kind of amateur plumbing experience, it's 100% safe. So on these tanks here, I'm using all ABS in the basement, drains and returns. This is our 2nd or 3rd store that we've set up. We're always using ABS. There's really no issue. It's an inert plastic. If I'm wrong, you want to talk about it, comment below, but I'm just going to say it. It's 100% safe. That's my opinion. I've never had an issue. Whatever, that's not the point of today's video. Let me show you how I plumb together these return lines here. So in the last video, I showed you how to actually drill the glass with a drill bit. Now that we have the hole done, we just go ahead and tighten these bulkheads in by hand. So originally, a long time ago, I was taught that you need silicone on the inside of the bulkhead. I don't think that's true anymore. I stopped doing that technique, but I was originally taught to silicone, like a bead of silicone in here. I don't do that anymore. No more silicone. I think the gasket's just enough if you install it properly and it's clean and it's dry. All I do now is thread them on by hand. So you just kind of twist it on. And then once it gets tight, I take a wrench like this and I give it another 1/2 turn. Just another 1/2 turn, just enough to really get it on there, but you don't want to go too tight because number one, you can crack the glass, so that wouldn't be good. And if you clamp down the gasket too much that's on the other side, it's no longer going to serve its purpose of being watertight. So I just go ahead with these and then I'm going to 1/2 turn each and every single one of the bulkheads. That's step one. Okay, Tia said I lied to YouTube. She's right. I'm gonna go back and correct myself. She's like, you straight up lied to the people of YouTube. Yeah. Okay. No, okay, so what did I do? On one of these bulkheads here, I can't remember which, it was that one, right? The top one? So when I drilled it in a hurry and in a rush. It was a quickie, haha. But the glass, it didn't crack, but a shard of the hole sort of came off, and it wasn't a perfect circle. It kind of had like a weird indentation. So just to be safe on that one, I did use silicone. But if you follow the steps that I showed in the other video, how to properly drill and not in a rush, you really shouldn't end up with that problem at all. Okay, so now that those are nice and tight, I'm going to go ahead and add these little lock line bits here so that we can properly direct water flow. Store is actually a disaster right now. So COVID is still ongoing in Ontario. Someone commented in the last video, wow, this must be really old because you guys are, a lot of viewers are in the States and you're very far ahead of us in terms of reopening and vaccination. We are at still the very early stages here in Ontario, kind of embarrassing. But two good things about COVID, at least for this store. It gave me the time to do a lot of projects because we're closed and kind of make a mess of the store and do things I haven't had a chance to do. And also a chance to revamp the website. It put my ass in gear because it was kind of outdated and old, and we have a lot of new dry goods and products that weren't on the site. And because everything moved to online and curbside pickup, it really put the fire under my ass to go ahead and revamp the site and make sure every single product was up there. That's my sidetrack of the day. Okay, so what I failed to mention with these bulkheads, on this side, I like to use threaded fitting, and then on the other side, slip. So what that means is it's just ready to accept a pipe, but on this side, it's actually threaded, so you can easily connect these little lock line, well, they're called lock line if you don't know what they are, but they're little adapters. And what I do is put a nozzle on it just so I can sort of direct the flow coming out of the hole. And because it's threaded, it's super, let me show you on this one, sorry. It's really easy. You literally just thread it, not red it, thread it, and then attach this piece to the end. And then you can direct the flow, create some surface agitation, point it at the bottom to mixed detritus, whatever you want. It just makes it a lot easier. I do it on just about every single return. So you can see here on this tank, I'm using lock line. Even on our larger frag tanks here, sort of the same idea. Let me show you in the overflow. So the pipes come up and then they go into a threaded adapter, lock line, come through the top, and then you can point it. Anyways, just if you're looking to do something like that, make sure you get a slip to threaded adapter so that you're able to quickly add your lock line pieces. YouTubers, don't do like March. I made a mistake here, but I caught it nice and early. I don't know how important it is, to be honest, but you see over here on the what's this called, this union ball valve flow, it's pointing this way. I want it to go the other way, so I just got to take that off and flip it the other direction. So just make sure that all your things are pointing in the right direction. So basically just measuring out how long of these pieces that I need out of, I'm using 1/2 inch schedule 40 PVC. The store beside me ran out of white, so I got gray. It's the same thing, just make sure you're using schedule 40 PVC glue at the same time. So over here with our handy tool, really simple. I'm just measuring out how long I need, and then it makes cutting just a breeze, and that's it. You just got to watch your fingers. I realize you may not be able to have access to one of these. There's another really simple, like $15 PVC cutting tool you can find at Home Depot or most hardware stores. That'll do the job just as well. You just gotta cut it by hand. If you ever need help with plumbing or setting up a tank, we don't have too much for plumbing parts, but we do have quite a few different styles of bulkheads. We have some gate valves, unions, elbows, 90s, T's, that kind of stuff. I realize it might be hard to talk plumbing through email, but feel free to shoot us one if you need some plumbing advice, or if you're in the greater Toronto area, come by. We're happy to help give advice for setting up new reef tanks. Okay, so the return side is just about done. What I did is use a shutoff for each individual tank, so I can control how much flow is going to each one, or if some weird instance I want to turn off flow to the entire row, I can go ahead and do that, turn it off for cleaning or for whatever reason. So I like to have them all independent. That's something we didn't do on this system here, and I didn't realize until after the fact how important it was to have it set up like that. One thing I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm not a plumber. I just picked up these skills over many years and many flooded tanks and floors, but yeah, not a plumber here, but I've done lots of builds like this and custom builds in houses, condos, offices, stuff like that. So if you're ever looking for one like that, we do offer that only in the greater Toronto area. But I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. So what I do is dry fit everything. There's no glue yet. I make sure that everything, so you see this is a little wonky. I'm just going to go ahead and cut maybe a 1/2 inch off there until it's all looking nice and straight. And then what I do is piece by piece, I'll go and start gluing each individual connection together. So I'll show you how I do that. Glue this, and then I'll mark it glue it, mark it so that I know as I go everything is glued together, because I have forgotten in the past to glue certain joints. You turn on the pump and there's water going everywhere. This is going to connect to the existing sump for now that's running on this system. We're going to upgrade the sump later, but we're doing it in parts. So I'm going to change basically everything you see upstairs here first, and then once that's all nice and running, I'll go ahead and change the sump. We got a new design for downstairs. It's just going to share this existing, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a 1.5 inch line coming from the basement that's basically feeding water. I'm going to steal that and hook it up right here to this 1/2 inch line. Okay, so I'm going PVC to PVC. So I showed you it's all dry fitted together. So for example, I'm going to glue this union here to this little bit that I've already pre-cut. Oh, this is a very good tool to have while you're working. Sorry guys, stick that in there. So the gray is the PVC to PVC. Just make sure, be liberal and generous. Generosity is important, and flow is going that way. So I'm going to hit that side, and then same thing here, and same over here. And just push and hold it, and it sets pretty quickly. Maybe 10 seconds. That's going to be set there, and then I can keep working. PVC I find has sort of a tendency to push away, so it's good to hold it in place just for a bit. ABS, when you're gluing it, it kind of has this tendency to suck the pipe in. So same thing, lots of glue. Make sure to put something down because it's kind of messy. And some should really hit both sides if you can. Remember, I'm not a plumber, I'm just showing you the best I know. Seems to work. I've been doing this for a little bit. That's it. One's got a little bit of tension on it, but it's okay. So if you do make a mistake, I could go and cut that and throw a coupling in it, but it looks fine to me. And then I'm just going to keep doing that as we go. I'll show you the finished product when we're done. Okay, so this side is all done. I'm basically going to just repeat everything I did on this side on the other side, but with the drains. This side is 1 inch, and I'm going to use these 1 inch, what you call these, T's, PVC T's. Same idea. And then just connect them into one another. Let me show you what I did over here. So this is all nice and glued in, looks pretty good, nice and tight. A little adapter at the bottom so I can get into a 1.5 inch ABS pipe coming up through the floor. I don't like that I lost basically this much room. So when you have a retail store, every square inch really matters, especially when it's small like this. And I know it might seem insignificant, those 7 inches, but it all kind of adds up at the end of the day, especially when you're dealing with such a small space. But this is how I'm basically going to control the flow to each tank, and then I'm going to finish this after with like a nice piece of maybe acrylic or plexi or whatever in front. So I want to hide all the plumbing so you don't see anything except the glass aquariums, and really to showcase the animals that are inside it, similar to what we did over here with our small captive bred fish system. It's nice and clean. You don't see any plumbing or any wires. All you see are the fish and the name of the fish. That's the same idea we're going to do on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do the drains. The returns are done. Hook it up to the pump in the basement. I guess in the next video I'll quickly show you how I do the lighting, which isn't that exciting. I'm just going to use T5 lighting. It's going to get hooked up to our apex, and then I'll show you how I finish the wood on the outside so I get that nice sort of glossy plastic looking finish, so it looks all complete. I'm not sure with the bottom what we're going to do yet. I might turn it into some sort of shelving for product. So that's what we've done here on all of our frag tanks. Like I said, every square inch is very, very important in the store. So we use all of the space under our 8-foot frag tanks for storage of products like this, for salt, heavy items like bags of sand, RODI makers, stuff like that. So probably going to find some sort of product that'll fit under there nicely. But that's it for today's video. If you guys got any questions about plumbing, reef tanks in general, sorry, I'm burping right now, anything like that at all, please feel free to hit us up. I'll leave our email at the end of this video like I always do. You can reach out to us. And that's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for watching this episode of Fragbox TV.